Hey kids, it's time to get some SML podcast all up in that.
What's up, everybody? This is the SML podcast. I'm your host, Joe. Joining as usual, Cole. How are you doing?
I'm dying and I'm on the spot, and that's fine.
Why?
Today's been a really hectic day. It's been a really hectic week. It's been a shit week, but today was at least a hectic day. And I'm currently waiting on my husband to pick up my daughter, who went with her friend to go get Thai ice cream. And her friend doesn't want to drive all the way up our redneck-ass holler, which says a lot because she also lives in a redneck-ass holler, but she doesn't want to come up ours.
You don't want to come up your redneck-ass holler.
Yeah.
By the way, we should quickly say that Tim, Chris, and Pernell are here as well for the PartyCast. Resume your story.
I have come back.
She's going to drop number one off at the mouth of the holler, and Dee was all the way in Lexington because number one's prom dress, I ordered it last month, and it was supposed to have been here by now. And they waited to ship it, and they waited too long, and it wasn't going to get here till the 4th, and prom is on the 1st. And we managed to track it down through shipping, and Dee drove 2.5 hours one way to go get it.
Jeez.
Dedicated father right there.
It's hard to realize it because, where I'm at, and I'm guessing where a number of the other folks here are at, there are multiple vendors willing to be like, hey, they fell through, and we can help you. I'll give you at least a quick rent. So I guess, admittedly, the women have a lot more to go through, or girls have a lot more to go through when it comes to getting their attire than guys do. But still, there are multiple options where you can get something. But there,
you have to get it. Order it in time, you're SOL. Because the other option is to go, there's a bridal store about 60 miles from us.
Holy.
But they only carry prom dresses for a couple of weeks.
Oh,
so once they're gone, they're gone. Like
it's the hot season for them. So
yeah.
The men.
And what happened was because of coronavirus, they didn't think they were going to get to have prom again this year. But then, because infection rates are low enough, they're going to, and I allowed number one to go because we've all been vaccinated. So that gave us exactly a month and a half to get shit straight for prom.
And hopefully their prom isn't going to make that one I saw on the TV at one point where they were dancing back to back.
I don't know. I don't know what the plans are. Like I said, she's vaccinated. She'll wear a mask. My sister went so far as to make a mask that matches her dress perfectly.
Aww.
With her dress is hot pink with black lace, and my sister, we scoured Amazon till we found the exact same lace and made the mask. It was a nightmare.
Tim, how's your prom going?
Great.
Did you get an appointment for your hair? I don't think they're having it.
Would you be chaperoning if they did?
Fucking hell no. That is a job for teachers, not for IT.
That'll be a trip right there. It's we're really short-staffed right now. Everyone's working from home and they're burned out. We need the IT guy on this, and that's like a whole movie right there.
Fuck you.
Tough shit. Yep.
The IT monitor.
Abso-fucking-lutely not.
He's a man behind the monitor, but today he's in the front lines of love.
All of this, no chance.
Oh,
no chance in hell.
And of course, there'd be some kind of weird bank robbery that takes place, and they end up inside of the prom hiding out. And you, with your IT skills, will be the one to determine that's not a real student. That's actually the bank robber. But how do I get him?
How do you think IT works? It's not about identifying false persons.
This is Hollywood. It just happens that way because because you're in IT, you have a cornucopia of skills. That's how Hollywood does it,
I don't have access to
Rob Schneider is the IT guy. Rated PG-13.
We got to lock down this hall. Don't worry, leave it to me. I'm in IT. You just go up to like some random panel, start like bunching a bunch of buttons. Boom, the entire place is shut down. Locked down.
No, you need like keys for that.
No, you're IT. You'll just hack it.
No, I'm telling you. No, you can't just say you're IT. That's not how it works. That's
There's like you put your eyeball up to it and it goes
to fix the refrigerator. No, that's not information technology. It's
Hollywood will fix it.
It's the technology of the information in your eyeball.
Oh no, he's getting away. It's like, oh no, he's getting away and my rocket skate stopped working. Leave it to me. I'm in IT.
No, that's mechanical engineering.
You'll fix it. You'll get it right. Whew, save the day again. Thanks, guys. Now, if you excuse me, I've got a network to configure.
What? The boiler's overheating?
Get the IT guy in there. He'll take care of it.
No, that's Buildings and Grounds.
Son of a bitch.
That's not my job.
I need you guys
Stop calling me for this.
Tried to fix the boiler.
The boiler's about
probably with other people because it wouldn't get fixed.
Can you install the electricity for 5 minutes? I'll take care of it.
No, I'm not an electrician.
And can you believe this whole time the Russians hacked the school because Tim was too busy doing everything else to set up the cybersecurity network?
He wasn't prepared.
No, that's all handled externally.
And then Jim Carrey shows up. He'll make a bunch of wazzy and woozles and whippadoodles, and then boom, bam, Tim's on the fire.
I don't get paid enough to do SciSec.
But the children's prom, they're having fun. You don't want them to ruin. You don't want to ruin their fun, do you?
I don't care what happens at the prom, honestly. I don't give a shit.
This will be a very short movie. Oh no, the Russians are here. Sucks for them. I'm going to play Dark Souls, fuckers. I'm done.
All right.
Oh, Jesus. Chris, how's your prom?
I have no idea. Probably like all the others, I missed it.
Never too late for a prom. Just get some Reese cups, stack them on top of each other. You got your cake. Okay, punch. Well, we already drink. Just pour some liquor in a bowl and then put like a dash of like Hawaiian punch in there. Boom, you got your punch. Music, Earth Angel. Bam. You're pretty much covered. You got the prom. Music.
Right.
Yeah,
you just gotta wear an uncomfortable suit, and then I'll be good.
Yeah, but then you got to spill something on it because that's
okay.
You got to spill something on it.
I never did my senior prom. I missed out. I didn't have a girlfriend. I was a loser.
No.
I went by myself.
I admittedly was a loser too, but I got really lucky, and I'm genuinely, surprisingly thankful for that. Like at my job at the time, people were like talking about all their respective proms and all, and people were like, "What about you, Pernell? You going to your prom?" I was like, "Fuck, no, I ain't going to no stupid prom." It's a big joke, because of course I had no girlfriend, and I was a class loser and all that junk too. And he was like, "How are you not going to your prom? Everyone goes to your prom." I'm like, "Fuck prom, is stupid," and no one would go with me anyway. She's like, "Did you ask anybody?" I was like, "No, I didn't ask anybody because I already know what the answer's going to be." She's like, "Did you ask me?" I'm like, "Well, why the hell would you go to the prom?" And she's like, "You didn't ask me." I'm like, "Fine, would you go to the prom with me?" She said, "Sure." And I'm like, "See, I told you."
Fuck no, get the fuck away from me.
Yeah, that would have been funny. Thing is, if she said that, though, I was expecting it, so I was like, "Yeah." But I was like, "Would you go to prom?" And she said, "Yes." I was like, "I told you you'd say no," but then she was like, "No." I said, "Yes." I'm like, "Well, fuck. Now I got to go to the prom." So I actually went through the process. But think about it, it was 100% worth it because what happened was, well, you remember, you ever see Better Off Dead back in the day in the 80s? The movie Better Off Dead?
That's one of my favorite movies.
Okay, so at least you'll get this
you
reference.
should have chimed in. Nobody was saying
Chris,
anything.
come
so
on.
I was like, oh, I guess I better say something.
That was your cue. That was literally your cue to chime in.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Because you have, in fact, seen that movie.
Yeah.
There was a scene later in the movie where, like, Lane, the loser, was racing against the cool guy on the ski slope. And there was a specific part where he's, like, fumbling and stumbling, but he's pulling it off, and he's skiing the entire mountain on one ski. And, like, everybody, like, stops, and the guy yells, like, "Oh, my God, he's doing it! He's skiing the K-12!" And everyone's like, "What?" He's like, "And he's doing it on one ski!" And people out there to watch him. In my case, with the prom, it was like, "Holy shit, Pernell came to the prom!" And it's like, "What?" And it's like, "And he brought a woman with him!" Holy shit! So, of course, now
he's doing it on one ski.
He's at the prom on one ski. Like, so now people are, like, trying to figure out who I'm here with. In 2 cases, guy tried to take her and get her to walk away with him instead. Like, there was some crazy shit going on. The whole time it was like, eyes were on me because I was the guy no one expected to come to the prom, much less with a date. And I rocked that shit. I was like, fuck all you bitches. I'm having fun. Get out of here.
Nice.
I kind of had a similar experience because David was already out of school. And so people, when I would say, oh yeah, I have a boyfriend, and I was the fat dorky kid, right? And they would be like, yeah, okay, you got a boyfriend that doesn't live around here, sure. You know? And so then like we showed up at prom and everybody was like, holy shit, he's an actual person.
Walked up to him and was like, okay, he's not a cardboard cutout. There aren't any wheels attached to him. This is legit.
Is it a hologram?
Yeah.
Ask him a question, then check for a tape recorder.
Girl get a date. So, and the funny thing about it was, I went to sign a friend's, well, more acquaintance, her yearbook at the end of the year. And in the yearbook, there was a section, of course, where you fill it all out. And like one of the things was like cutest couple at prom. And she had actually wrote down me and David.
That's what's up. See, it's like, it feels good, right? Like you walk in there, you subvert all their stank ass expectations, and you just genuinely have fun. It's like,
and motherfucker, we're still together 20 years later.
Damn, right, how many of them can say they're still with their prom date? Probably like,
you know, the funny thing, quite a few of them are.
Really?
Yeah, I was surprised by that too.
I'm going to go with Kentucky style on that one. You guys get damn right.
Yeah, we usually hitch up young and call it a day.
It's a good way to
Throw in the
them.
fucking towel.
Yeah, we're like, well, that's as good as it gets around here.
Well, I mean, the trade-off is you don't have to deal with Bumble and shit. You're like, hey, I met somebody, we click, we can deal with all the bullshit together, and you can just live. You get all the turbulence, you get the hot and heavy, the low and lazy, the hot and heavy, the low and lazy. You just ride the wave together, and next thing you know, you got a house early because you had joint income the whole fucking time. You have that book in your house, like number of games of freaking spades played against each other over the past 20 years. I won 572 matches. How many did you win?
I am the queen of Rook.
You have the book. You know, so it's like,
what the fuck is this conversation even? Like, what the
I don't know. You let Pernell go too far off the rails, and now here we
really
are.
have.
Welcome to the SML podcast. The fuck's the video game?
Gain your eyeball, Tim, and bring the conversation back on track.
There you go. He's an IT.
Speaking of movies, anybody watch Mortal Kombat?
I did not yet. Oh
no. Okay, well, I guess
I'm so excited, but every time I try to watch it, David's like, "I'm tired. Why do you always want to watch everything at night?" I'm like, "God, we're not that old." Fuck.
Well, apparently you are.
Go to bed.
I'm about to sneak
well, also, you know, it's not exactly a kid-friendly movie.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
We watch Mortal Kombat
like,
as kids.
You can't watch that shit.
Yeah, but I was like,
8-year-old is sitting there.
This is also much more violent.
Yeah, Pernell, this one is not rated PG-13.
Yeah,
but how many R movies did we watch growing up? Too? It's like, I feel like the violence is just scaled up with us. Like, I mean, when I was a kid, I was able to watch a ton of R movies. No one checked for it. And I didn't walk around like, you know what, ton of murder fuckers because I'm desensitized. It's just like, no.
Well, you were probably also 6'12" when you were 12.
That is true. When I was 12, I could do a lot of adult things. It was fun. But with that said, I mean, I still watched like Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, and all those horror flicks when I was like 7 and 6 and this. Like, no one stopped me. I just did, you know? And
so anyway, did you see Mortal Kombat?
I want to.
You haven't seen it yet. Okay.
But one thing I've seen. Oh, hush up, you! I've seen the one scene where they were trying to portray. This is how gory it is, where the one character gets like her head gets split in half by like Raiden's hat. That wasn't right. Was it Raiden's hat?
It's Kung Lao's, but yeah.
There we go. Man, she gets like cut in half by his hat, and I'm like, man, that's pretty gory.
Yeah, that was really good. That's actually like the best fatality in the movie.
And they give it away in a preview? That sucks. That kind of figures.
It's kind of sad in a way, but it makes sense. Like, if this is the roughest thing they got, people see it and think, there's going to be more shit like this. It's like, nah, we blew our load on the trailer. But you don't care. You're already paid to see it, sucker.
So I mean, like, spoiler-free, is it worth checking out?
Do you have HBO Max?
Yes.
Then yes.
Okay.
It is worth it. It is worth the time you would invest in it. Would I feel as good if I had purchased two, $12 movie tickets?
But I don't know. Other people seem to like this movie a lot more than me. They're like, "Oh, what were you expecting? It's Mortal Kombat." I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm not a Mortal Kombat fan, so I'm not used to lowering my expectations to enjoy something."
Zing, 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 zing.
But yeah. But like, come on, like, yeah. No, it's got some good point. It feels like a 2-hour pilot for a TV series. Is what it feels like.
Or on USA. Just because.
Yeah, it's just like there's something, the story's not good. There's like no recognizable actors in this. Like you don't have Christopher Lambert to like, ground it a little bit. Just a bunch of no-name people. Kano is surprisingly entertaining, which you've probably heard by now because everyone who sees the movie says that.
I was about to say, I've heard people say he was like the best part of the movie unexpectedly.
Yeah, Kano's actually like has like the best writing and the best performance and the best lines and is surprisingly very entertaining. But yeah, there's some fun Mortal Kombat stuff in there. There's also a bunch of dumb shit. But the fatalities.
That sounds like Mortal Kombat stuff, to be fair.
Yeah, to be fair. But it ain't the 1995 Robin Shue classic. And there's no Johnny Cage in the movie. I will say that because that surprised and upset some people.
Wait, he's not in the movie?
Johnny Cage is not in the movie.
That doesn't even make sense.
They are holding Johnny Cage for the sequel.
They better get the Miz.
Yeah.
Do they at least kind of reference him at some point? Like, we have a ringer coming.
Well, yeah, there is an allusion to Johnny Cage at one point in the movie. It might be the last thing in the movie. Something I didn't realize is that the main character of this is like an original character. Like they made up a dude for the movie, which really kind of swerved me.
I thought it was going to be Stryker.
His fan custom character.
Yeah, but it almost feels like, well, he feels, I hate to say it, he feels like it makes it feel like a fan fiction with the main character being like a self-insert.
Yeah.
Sort of deal, which feels weird. But there's some good stuff that goes on around. There's some okay stuff that goes on around that, but there's some other stuff that I'm just like, why are they doing this shit? My wife enjoyed it thoroughly. She's like, what'd you expect? It's just a fine movie. I'm like, whatever.
You want to know something though? I feel like for all this, like we wrote about Mortal Kombat, it's new, but it's old. Like, I want to see someone, if they're already going to go balls to the wall with some crazy films based on games and fighters, just make a Guilty Gear movie. It ain't going to make any fucking sense, but to see all that stuff on the screen, I'd pay good money for that. Like, just to see someone try to make sense of it.
We would finally have a good movie soundtrack again.
A fantastic OST. And the best thing about it is, genuinely, if they just use music from the game, I'd be happy. It would work just fine. Yeah. Just add some quieter music for like the general, like we're having conversation scenes, and then use the actual game OST for the battle sequences. Sold. I'm in. Like, good God. See, Hollywood, get on this shit.
No, keep Hollywood away from that. Then you'll have Avril Lavigne doing the title theme.
No, I want Hollywood to massively produce the film. Keep their asses off the OST, but do the movie. I need the money. I need the budget for good effects. I want to see Millia Rage fighting fucking Potemkin, and then freaking like Kisuke come up out of nowhere, and then of course you got Mayweather fucking giant anchor and summoning dolphins. Just imagine that. I heard
Mayweather, and I'm like, why is Floyd Mayweather in this game all of a sudden?
Well, I mean, it's Hollywood. They got to
pay attention to what's going on.
It's Hollywood. They got to put a recognizable
Floyd Mayweather in Guilty Gear.
Pernell's spitting out Guilty Gear names like anybody recognizes them.
Oh yeah, well, hopefully people do, because
I don't know. No, not Guilty.
So, anyways, Mortal Kombat.
Wombat.
Yeah, I think if you picked up HBO Max for like this weekend, you could still watch Godzilla vs. Kong if you haven't yet. I think that hasn't left yet. And then there's like another couple of movies. I keep forgetting there's something like decent coming up in like the next month, and I keep forgetting what it is.
What did you say, Cole?
I need to watch Godzilla vs. Kong before it goes off of there.
Yeah, and that's pretty soon. That might be like in the next like few days next week. So you got to get on. You should probably watch that before you watch Mortal Kombat.
Well, in my defense, the girls have been using HBO Max to binge watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Heck yeah.
And they're trying to finish The Hobbit before it goes away this week too. So So it's been a tough one. It's like, who's going to get control of HBO right now?
The fight for HBO.
Yeah.
And so, video games.
What?
Yeah, video games.
Should we do a podcast? We have a podcast with reviews that we got to do. Are you guys interested in doing those?
Yes.
No, we're good. Bye.
For 3 out of 4, yes.
Show's over.
I am for 3 out of 4.
All right, so Cole's the only dissenter.
That sounds
Yeah,
about
Cole,
right.
you have 3 days to watch Godzilla vs. Kong. 3 days.
I have other things I gotta do, man. I'm just.
She's
I guess
plotting her
I should-
exit.
I should take a quick second to explain that joke. I'm now a writer for Windows Central, a freelance writer. So I will be doing reviews for digital art shit.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So hooray me. Actually,
Congratulations.
getting paid to do shit now. That's exciting.
She claims she's not leaving.
I'm not leaving the show though. Y'all are fucking stuck with me.
Without the do, where would I be?
You got nothing to worry about, but I will be splitting my time. So maybe that means there'll be more games for the rest of y'all if I quit taking them off.
Oh, Jacob will be
I mean, I
thrilled.
take about as much as I can.
Yeah, he
handle,
ain't
really.
getting shit. Neither Saki. But the rest of y'all have a good chance.
I don't think they want more.
I'm in that bubble now where it's like I'm kind of like
Well,
where Tim is. Like I
They
do plenty
want.
now.
They don't want more. They want
Better.
more of what I get.
You need to get the premium.
Yeah, the games where Joe's like, "You want to review this game?" I'm like, shit, I don't have any time, but I want to play that. So fuck, I'll make do. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Gimme. Versus,
Yeah.
you want to do this game? This isn't my genre, and I don't like the developer, and it has glitches, and also I have a hernia.
Wait, Aki wants it? I'll take it.
But
Yeah.
the show must go on. Gimme.
When it comes to something, unless it's tower defense, at that point, tower defense can go fuck itself. I do not ever want it.
Yeah. me
That's
neither.
your genre where you draw the line. Is
That's
tower
my line.
defense?
I don't know why, but if you hand me a tower defense, I'm just going to be like, you need to go fuck yourself.
Those are like cakey to me. It's like
So that's
they're
why I've
very-
been getting so many of those
They're
lately.
kinky to you? Oh my god. Okay, anyways, what's the first game that Aki's not reviewing tonight?
Yeah, we should probably get started. A lot of games to talk about tonight. First game to talk about tonight is called MotoGP 2021, developed and published by Milestone, released April 22nd on Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch, PS4, PS5, Steam, and Epic Game Store for $49.99.
Should have listed what it's not coming out on.
Neo Geo Pocket.
Keep going. Keep going.
PlayStation Vita.
I stalled him harder than I thought I would. Go.
Take your place on the starting grid and get ready for the most realistic and immersive MotoGP video game ever. Pernell, tell us about your time with MotoGP 2021.
Disclaimer to kick this off. You just said two things that should give you some indication that this isn't my general style of game. Realistic simulation type game, like not for Purdy. But I did try to go into this with an open mind, at least for the prospect of like explaining what it provides and how it's detailed. So the idea behind this game is it really is attempting to be a realistic bike racing game. With that, there are two elements of which you can play. Quick play elements, and then of course the career mode. I'm primarily going to focus on the quick play, and I'm going to say very specifically that is because I am hot buttered garbage at this freaking game. So my career was very brief. But the idea behind this
My
is
career was brief.
that it was extremely brief because in the career mode you have to actually win races to earn money to do things. I can't win a race. Even the tutorial, I can't win races. It's freaking hard. And
Me neither. So
I'm glad to hear that, honestly, because I feel like we get along there. Like I spent a good amount of time trying to beat the tutorial racer and just couldn't do it.
the
Now-
AI is something special, but we'll get to that eventually. We have to
And I don't want
continue
that to
about
be
what the game is first.
And I don't want to dissuade people by saying that my poor skill will impact your skill because, one, we're just different gamers in general. And two, they did provide a lot of assist elements to the game that could have a better impact on you than it did on me. anything from like actual like trajectory lines, which kind of tells you how fast you should be going in a specific area of the track, if you should be slowing down or braking. If you're a good enough driver, it even tells you the freaking like the actual direction and place on the track you should physically be. You're not gonna be there, but it's telling you where you should be. It offers like assisted braking, where it'll flat out make you brake if you are going too fast coming into a turn. It's not 100% accurate.
On the surface, it is incredibly casual friendly with the assists that the game gives you.
But it's still, with all that stuff, I couldn't beat the guy in the damn tutorial. It was abysmal.
The AI in this game is stupidly, absurdly good. Like you can't beat them. They drive flawlessly. They knock you down. Even on the easiest, because they start you off on 30% difficulty on this game. I bumped it down. It lets you go down to 20. I bumped it down to 20. I put myself at first place. I started myself first on the line, and by the first corner, they took me out, and I was in last place. Every time.
So what we're telling you here is if you're not already proficient with the series, even if you come in with the riding aids and all the difficulty adjustments, be prepared to put some time into building your skill level up to even just start taking basic runs. But if you have the tenacity to do that and you just really like motorcycle games, well, I would then say you're in for a good time. You just have to deal with that shit because they put a lot into this title. There are about like 20 or so tracks you can do. The customization of your individual riders is pretty immense. Like customize like his look, his appearance, his actual clothing, his sponsorship stickers, the team that he gets to ride with. And that's even just on the tutorial. I mean, on the quick race, rather, I should say. And while in the preview, I realized that was like MotoGP, MotoGP 2, MotoGP 3, and I thought they were referring to sequels. I was actually really ignorant and wrong because that's actually referring to like levels of skill and like classes of MotoGP racing. Mm-hmm. And you're choosing people that exist within those classes of MotoGP racing. So you can pretty much peruse across the various levels of MotoGP, both for racing and choosing the bike you're going to ride on and where you're going to race, but also for your teammates. When races actually occur, you get to choose there's weather conditions and all the different tracks. And when you ride, you do get a genuine sense of speed. The only thing that feels weird about it is that, and that's where I find it interesting but this is just me not really being down with this. I'm used to like arcade racers, but you get the sense of speed. But then when you come into the turns, you pretty much have to brake. Like you lose the speed specifically for the turns because that's just how GP racing is. And I had no idea up until I started dabbling with this game and then looking on the internet and looking at actual races. They make those bikes actually lean that hard and somehow get them back up off the ground without spilling. That doesn't mean you're not going to. You're going to spill a lot. But the actual good racers lean hard and then get back up without falling over. The actual races, even when you do like the quick races and everything, they still kind of follow a certain flow in that you have weekend races and you have championship races. The weekend races are like basically a 3-day block, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, where you kind of get like practice runs. You can schedule them on your calendar. And on the practice runs, you're trying to actually like set a good pace for a lap on the track you're practicing on. And that's just to kind of get you bolstered up because if you can do well enough, you can skip through some of the qualifiers because you also have qualifier races, and that determines if you can even get into the actual race at the end of the weekend. You're riding your bike a frick ton a lot. But if you can do good on the free practice, you can skip one of the qualifiers. So that's actually a good thing. So it's practice plus potentially skipping a event. That's the weekend run. The championship run is pretty much a series of weekends and like a smaller version of the calendar that you would ultimately utilize in the career mode. But career mode is holy fucking cow. If you got the interest in this hobby, it will break your balls with things to do because they go through a series of things. Like you have to actually manage a budget. And the first thing you do with your budget, you have to hire a manager, The manager determines how you negotiate for contract salaries with various teams. You get to choose what type of team you go on. You get to hire a staff. Well, you hire a staff if you go on your own, but if you join a team, they hire the staff for you. But the team assesses your bike and like riding patterns to help kind of fine tune your bike and help you get better at how to manage your bike on the actual races. You manage a schedule in regards to like the tracks you practice on, the events you're going to enter. And depending on the team you're on, you also have to do things like place in specific roles, depending on what team you're on, because they give you their own like various missions that determines if you get like bonus salary income and things like that. There's a lot in this game. Like it's not a small potato game. Even the quick modes are involved. If you buy this game, you want a sim. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You want a sim. That's what you're buying this for. If you want a sim.
I have two negatives with this game I have to stress because they could be potential absolute game killers for people. The first is I want to reiterate the AI in this game is just absurdly unfair. It
is really good. I've never seen a computer player spill.
If you're a casual racer and you use any of the assists, like the assistive braking or just anything that helps with your casualness, you're not going to do better than last place. It just won't happen because the AI won't let you. The only time I did better was when I crashed into them and forced them down.
Sounds like Gran Turismo.
Demolition Derby mode, baby.
Sounds like how I play Gran Turismo.
It's just brutally unfair.
Gran Turismo. So that's the correction. I actually was better at Gran Turismo than MotoGP, so that says a lot right there. Yeah. But it's like I feel like I don't like saying it in that exact term because I feel like a lot of that difficulty issue I had may have just been my skill level. But I do want to emphasize that for folks who get down with this, they're going to work to get up to the point where they're like, now I'm having a freaking good time. Because now that I can actually roll with these jerks and play it the way I'm supposed to, I'm having fun and getting wins and getting my salary bumped up and crap like that. But if you're the type that just sees this, it's a big if.
Pernell, that's a big if with this one.
If you're coming into this, like you're at the store, you're just like, I like motorcycles, and this is a motorcycle racing game. I want to buy this. Buyer be freaking ware, because you need to be coming into this game ready to work and learn the game. Like you need to be ready to pick it up and become, and to quote a Dark Souls term, get good at it. You're going to have to work.
Speaking of buying it, that's my other gripe with the game. You need to make sure you buy the right platform. This is not a cross-buy title. If you buy it on the PS4, you do not get it on the PS5. If you buy it on the Series X, you cannot play it on an Xbox One.
Hopefully they at least print it on the box to let you know, because usually
the boxes are specific. They have a PS4 specific box, a PS5 specific box, and 2 Xbox boxes with just
box.
The name. Yeah, the fucking names. It's
box.
And don't even think about loading this up on your PS3.
Yeah, the battery's already dead in there anyway.
Yeah.
But
that's a challenge.
They don't have smart delivery. They do not have cross-buy, so you will have to buy this separately per console if you want to play on each console.
Buy for the best one you've got. Ride that wave. Like honestly, for me, like the cross-buy, it was one thing when it was like, hey, you can play it on your portable and you can play it on your home console. But when it's like you can play it on your home console or your better home console, I feel like if you know you're going to get the better version, better console later, just buy the better version of it. And if you don't plan to or don't know when you will, just get the one on the console you got. Because by the time you get the better console, you'll be playing a different game anyway.
Yeah, 2022 will be out.
Exactly. So it's like, I mean, cross buys are great, but it won't kill you. Just know what you're buying and don't take it home like, I thought I got 2 versions of this. You don't. Joe just told you.
Yeah, just make sure you buy the right one. Milestone, would be nice to see you join the whole smart delivery program. Fingers crossed. $50 on this. Pernell, what do you think of MotoGP 2021?
I call it a buy it, but only if you're coming into this ready to get good at the actual game. But the game itself is substantially decent. It's just very difficult.
In my eyes, that is a huge if, and I with how big that if is, I can't go anywhere near a buy it with this one. It is too difficult. It is too unfair to casuals to recommend
don't buy
this
it if
game.
you're casual. Friggin' hell.
Yeah, this is absolutely only if you are a hardcore sim racer. Everybody else, no.
Kick it back. Get down with me. Join the Road Rash petition. Because Road Redemption ain't it.
Anyway, a game that a lot of people are talking about is Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion, developed by Snoozy Kazoo, published by Graffiti Games, released April 22nd on Switch and Steam for $14.99, plays an adorable yet troublemaking turnip, avoid paying taxes, solve plantastic puzzles, and take on massive beasts in a journey to tear down a corrupt vegetable government. Tim, you're the lucky one who got this game. Everyone has been asking me about this one.
I bought this just by the title. I bought it because of the title, so please be good.
People are buzzing about Turnip Boy commits tax avoidance.
Tax evasion.
Tax evasion. Is it? Oh my god.
Tax avoidance.
I knew he was avoiding it. Right. I didn't want to say tax fraud, so I got the right action.
Tax fraud. Now that's a whole
if you're
other
evading,
game.
In a way, you are committing fraud. So, whatever. All right,
we're evading this review. So
yes,
tell us about
taxes. Fuck the government. That is what Turnip Boy is all about. This game takes place in a technically, I guess, a post-apocalyptic. You know what I mean? Oh my god.
Cole's making fun of someone else for talking. Oh my god.
Post-apocalyptic. It just couldn't start. Just couldn't turn over. Could not turn over an apocalyptic. Apocalyptic landscape. Takes place in a post-apocalyptic landscape. I don't know if I've ever had to say that before out loud. Anyways, it takes place in one, technically speaking, kind of. All your characters running around are like vegetables and fruits and plants and whatnot. There's a few other things sorted around. Anyways, so this game is basically like a cute little top-down Zelda-like adventure game where the mayor has kicked you out of your greenhouse because you have not paid your taxes because the carrot decided that he was going to have government and decided that you had to pay taxes to get you out of your house. And he's like, okay, well, you need to start working for me to, work over your tax debt. So he starts sending you on quests, and the quest leads you to other characters you need to run errands for, and ultimately, a few little dungeons that you need to explore where you get new powers and new abilities. You start off, you have like a little sword for poking things, and you get a few other things for like moving around. For you can create portals at a certain point in this game. I'm trying to remember what the second one was I'm playing. It doesn't matter. Anyways, yeah, so you'll pick up a few different tools and power-ups, and, leave some surprise in the game. A few tools and power-ups, some pretty simple, straightforward puzzles. Now I remember what it was. Anyways, yeah, you solve some puzzles, you get through these dungeons, you beat a boss, you get the item, you take it back to the carrot, and he sends you off on your way somewhere else. And all throughout the land of Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion, you're finding other characters who need other things. Like there's a hairdresser who wants you to find, who criticizes your hairstyle, basically, and then eventually, you find him some hair dye, and you bring the hair dye to him. He's like, okay, I'll fix you up, and then you can change your hat. That's what there are ways you can cosmetically change Turnip Boy's appearance with different hats.
Microtransactions.
No microtransactions. Fuck the government.
Turnip Boy commits microtransactions.
Yeah, that's one thing you're doing along the way is you can find different hats, but also along the way you are ripping up every piece of paper. You are destroying tax records. You are destroying records of government just all over the place. There is kind of like a pretty interesting little story that unfolds as you go through the game. It's just everything about it is so goddamn cute and clever. Like the writing is really good. It's just generally fun to play. The game is not a pain in the ass, even on default difficulty, but they have options for just making the game super easy if you want, or just turning on God mode, which will make you invincible if you have any sort of trouble getting through Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion. Though, like I said, on the default
flip side of MotoGP.
This is the flip side of MotoGP. Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion is a game that anyone can enjoy. The only real problem with Turnip problem, and I'm throwing up the air quotes here, the only problem with Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion is it's like 2.5 hours long. And that's even if you're doing like, you're going around and ripping up every last scrap of paper and completing every hat quest. Like once you clear the game, it opens this cave where a 3-eyed cat will give you hints as to who you need to go talk to finish up these things. There's weird things in this game, by the way. So, it's not hard to do that. But for me, that is, man, games that don't overstay their welcome are so great that leave me wanting more, which is not everybody. Some people are looking to get bang for their buck. So at how many dollars, Joe Cam?
It is $14.99, although as of recording, it is available on sale for $11.99.
Yeah, I think it's been on sale since it came out. I wonder if it's one of those games that's just like perpetually like, oh, it always is on sale to make you think you need to buy it before it's not on sale. Yeah.
Only 499 days remaining.
Yeah. But either way, the bottom line is it's a fun, enjoyable game from pillar to post that anyone can play, and I think just about anyone will have fun with. I think you will, if you absolutely have to, if you're scrapping your cash together and you can't, you got to make the most out of your gaming dollar. You're probably playing free games anyways. But when you spend money, you probably want something longer. But this game is just a lot of fun, and I think people will be really happy with it just from its charm, its writing, its ease of play. Like it's a lot of fun, and I love games that don't drag it out. So I really like Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion, and yeah, I think people should check it out. They'll have a good time with it. I don't think they'll be disappointed with this absurdly named and premised game.
I'm about to ask it, but Dean asked to answer the most important question. Does it actually provide legitimate tips on tax evasion?
I don't know if you can rely on Turnip Boy for accounting or tax advice. I don't know if you should rely on Turnip Boy for tax advice.
Well, you see, Your Honor.
Basically, what he does is just...
The Turnip Boy did it, so I figured it worked for me.
And then he just rips them up. And I don't think that works anymore. I think they have the records somewhere else and in computers, so you can't just do it. But Turnip Boy himself does commit some tax evasion in this motherfucker.
Nice. Well, it sounds worthwhile to me. All right, next up is eFootball PES 2021, developed and published by Konami Digital Entertainment, released back in September 2020 for $29.99. A light free-to-play version is available on various platforms and various team packs.
2020. Okay, all right.
Yeah, just a couple months ago. I think there's a new season, though.
Okay.
I don't follow I don't follow the world of the Soccers, so it might be the end of a season or the beginning of a season, or
it's springtime out, so I imagine they're out there kicking balls around or some shit.
Yeah, there's a present reason for us to be evaluating this game at this time, because various team packs and in-game purchases are available as well for this game. Chris, tell us about eFootball PES 2021.
I'll do my best. So, okay.
I mean, Pernell just did a pretty good job with MotoGP, so I think you can nail eFootball.
I like racing games, though, so that's different. No, like,
everybody's
here's the thing.
Out of their comfort zone.
Yeah, it very much is. I own one football, like European football, soccer game. It is International Superstar Soccer 64. I bought it for $3.99, and I haven't played it yet. So I am a complete noob when it comes to soccer/European football games.
I played Sega Soccer Slam. That's a great soccer game.
I have not.
Oh, it's so good.
How about Mario Strikers? That was pretty badass.
I haven't even played that.
one.
What the
And Mega
hell?
Man Soccer.
Okay, I
That
have
game's
played
not
a little
so
bit of
good.
Mega Man Soccer.
Tecmo
mostly-
World Cup Soccer.
Huh?
Tecmo World Cup Soccer on the NES.
I mean, I should, but I have
To
not.
go
Neo
World
guys.
Cup. We're just going to name soccer games that you should have
Yep.
played until the
Yeah,
cows come home.
Maybe we don't know.
this is
And
turned,
we'll never know if we keep up like this.
I love that y'all have named this many soccer games, and the word FIFA has not come up once.
I bought one FIFA game and was like, there's no music in this damn game. I can't play this.
There is music in eFootball. I don't know what the PES actually stands for. I guess I could have learned that.
Pro Evolution Soccer.
Pro Evolution Soccer. Thank you.
Also,
But there's music, but like a lot of the things in the game, it's just kind of like generic and possibly made for the thing. So yeah, anyways, this is the PES series is basically Konami's rival to FIFA, and it's an alternative, you know? It's like cooler in some ways, but clearly, you know, the money's not there. So, you know, they can't even afford a new Castlevania. So they ain't got the money to compete with EA on that. So what they've
looking at it on
done,
Steam, it looks like it is a roster update. So I think that's what we are evaluating.
yeah, mostly a roster
Season
update. And the game in total, the 2021, I mean, if you think about it, and this actually got me to thinking of something I didn't think about last year, and that's these games that have to come out like clockwork every single year, the sports games. What did they do during the pandemic? I mean, everybody had to work from home, so obviously, I mean, they couldn't really rebuild a new game. So, you know, in looking at, you know, different
I think
opinions
those
on
are the
this-
games we're starting to see now, the result
Yeah.
of the COVID stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like kind of doing what they can, coming out with an update, charging less money for it, which apparently FIFA didn't do. And yeah, they actually even have a mode where they say they will update the rosters and like different things, kind of like in real time, like as they change in the real world, which again confused me, but I did not turn it on because I do not plan on having my stuff updated. I only know like 3 names in soccer, and that's only because I used to sell shoes. So like, and see, even then they're called cleats technically, but you know, I'm being coolly ignorant.
They're shoes.
They are shoes, but they got little spikes on the bottom, so you kind of have to differentiate.
They're spiky shoes.
Spiky shoes. But yeah, like basically with this one though, so I decided like, okay, my review is, you know, people who know football games and soccer games, etc., they're going to kind of know what's going on with this one. It's basically the same as 2020, but they've updated the rosters and things like that. They also smoothed out a couple of performance issues that people were complaining about, mostly having to do with the smoothness of like the gameplay and things like that. Those details are available everywhere. So I decided I'm just going to talk about this as a person who got to learn how to play soccer through a video game.
Makes sense.
And in that, I actually quite like this game. And, you know, I definitely echo the other reviewers out there who say that it's an accessible and, you know, it feels like a really smooth experience for like, you know, get your players are out there on the field and, you know, you kick the ball to each other and try to get it to the goal, right? That's the point of soccer.
Mm-hmm.
And that only knowing one button and like I just got an overview of like different moves that I don't remember the names of now because I didn't know them then either. But most of it has to do with really just passing until you get, you know, near the goal and then attempting a shot. And kind of like a golf
Why
game.
is soccer
like,
so fucking hard? Just pass till you're near the goal and then take a shot. Done.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like American football, which is the most ludicrous thing in the world. Hand egg, etc. But yeah, like, you know, you hold down like the button to, you know, to make it a more powerful kick. Of course, if you kick it too hard, the ball just goes off into like kind of nowheresville, and then the next person to run up to it gets to, handle it, and then you got to try and steal it from them, and they got to try and steal it from you. What I like about this game too is, even though I have yet to win a game, I felt like I was getting the true soccer experience because I was able to defend my goal really well. So games were ending with like only 1 or 2 points, for the other team. So it's kind of like, and that's how real soccer is. Huh?
I said that's pretty good. I can't do that well in soccer games. I suck at them.
Yeah, like it's weird because like my experience with these kind of games is usually, well, for instance, I love baseball games. Like that's actually a sport I can do. And it, like, baseball games are so weird because, video games, because like I always end up with like either I'm like, 20 points ahead of them or they're 20 runs ahead of me, like unrealistic numbers. Same thing with basketball. And it's like, there's even a baseball game where I scored 150 runs over the other team. And, this is a game with no difficulty settings. That's just how good I was automatically. Jesus. For no reason. Yeah, it's like, it's stupid. So in that, I felt like this game was a little bit more realistic. Like every, the point of soccer is that every point feels like just the height of drama. And it's earned. It's earned. It's very, very earned. Yeah. Now, having said, if you kick your football out to the middle of the field and, everybody's kind of running after it, but sometimes the players, like the AI players, just don't really feel much like it, And it's funny, too, because like there's AI commentary going on the whole time, where every time you do something, it kind of changes with the way they're talking about you. And they often complained about the lack of energy. And I was like, well, because apparently this game is a little more slower paced than like a FIFA game. So it's not like, edge of your seat kind of like explosive gameplay or anything like that. But like I said, like I liked that it was just like, you get to the ball, you charge up your shot, and, you pass it to, try to pass it to like your guys. And if the other team gets it, try to get it from them. It's very simple and very welcoming for people who don't know soccer at all. And, this game also, and this is like its predecessors, it has like tons and tons and tons of modes and all this other stuff. Like sports games have gotten ridiculous. Like I played a couple of quick matches. I was like, I'm not getting through a whole season. But I looked around and of course, you can play seasons, you can do co-op, of course, there's a huge amount of online, everything, from esport, like ranked stuff to like just casual
and shit like that.
Yeah, all kinds of everything. And I guess the thing I do kind of like is that they'll match you based on kind of like your internet performance too. So you won't end up with somebody who's like dropping out all the time, I guess.
That's good.
If your internet's pretty good. So I like that they're taking some considerations there. There's also a mode where it's like basically become a legend or whatever, where you can start like from like a Skyrim character generator kind of thing. And, you can start a custom character and then, kind of work your way up and you're part of a team. And so you don't have that experience of like being the god of soccer. Like you actually have to work with AI other players. And that I couldn't really get anywhere in. And in fact, the character creator is so dense and like extreme. Like there were like, I forgot the count, but there was something like close to a dozen like sliders and markers and numbers like for eyes.
Jeez.
For making the eyes of your puppet. And when it boils down to it, it's like they have stats and everything that you can increase and, raise up and all this other stuff. There were 29 of those things. Morrowind had 27 skills, and Skyrim has 18. This game has 29, so it is a Skyrim and a half worth of skills that you can build up for your player on top of other stats.
So what was your soccer player's dagger skill at?
I don't remember. I didn't
Just
stab
knife someone.
I couldn't sneak up on anyone, man.
Oh my god. Well, $30 for the standard edition of this. There's also a light version that you can install free to play. What do you think of this game? What do you recommend?
I think this is great, actually. I like not being burdened by having to know every player and team because a lot of them on this game are made up. I like how smooth it is, and I like that every single move in the game that you can do, and it's like, I think there's like 9 or 10 different things, like essential things. You can it's actually more than that. Anyway, every single thing you can do in this game has its own tutorial that you can just grind and grind and grind. You can really learn how to play video game soccer with this as a starting point. Now, if you are already an eFootball PES fan, then, just know that it's if you've already got 2020, you've already got this game. Yeah. There's just some different, a few little differences, but maybe not enough to justify the price. But yeah, for total noobs, I'm actually going to give this one a buy it. Cool. I think it's good.
All right. Really well, next up is World Splitter, developed by NeoBird, published by Bumblebee Interactive with a 3 name for the B. Yeah.
Okay.
Released April 21st on Switch, PS4, and PC for $19.99. Coming in May or June to Xbox One. World Splitter is a 2D squared puzzle platformer challenging you with multi-directional puzzles. You'll travel through wonderful and fantastic worlds that are beautifully animated and full of tricky challenges. Tim, tell us about World Splitter.
All right, World Splitter. Is a game. So it's we got a puzzle, this sort of platformer. It bills itself as a platformer, but boy, does jumping suck in this game. You can't even do it off the bat. The main deal with this game, so you're this weird little, like rabbity looking astronaut dude, and you are exploring this world, these little stages, these little like one screen stages, and the idea is that there are 2 kind of dimensions, and you have a cursor with a big line coming out of it. It starts off, in the middle of the screen, and on one half the screen there is, say, World A, and on the other side there is World B. And your job is to get your little astronaut guy from left side of the screen to the right side of the screen, not even necessarily like walking out in the right world or anything, I guess. You just got to get from one side to the other. But of course, that's hard because neither world has a direct, line to just like walk across all on its own. So you need what you have to do. And you can move this cursor anywhere on the screen. You can rotate the axis of the split between the worlds at any angle, and you have to maneuver yourself from one side of the screen to the other. That's it, basically. But boy, is it tricky. I think the game does a good job of kind of introducing you to the mechanics and kind of some of the things that it's thinking pretty early on, like in the the first world, because it's not quite as straightforward as you might think to do this. They do some interesting things. It's not just a matter of like, oh, okay, I need to just kind of like platform here, platform there, and then it works out and boom, I'm good, I'm the other side. Because they do funny things where it's like, okay, well, I need to get up on, I need to get to a higher level, but there's no direct, like, it's not like, oh, jump to a platform, then jump to a platform and like swing the thing around. What you need to do is like, say there is a column, let's say in one world that will get you to the height you need to get to. You need to like get the dimension breaker line under you so that you are standing over where that land will appear. And then as you lift the line up, it will also, it creates the ground underneath you and then thus raise you up in the level to get you to the point you need to get to, right? Mm-hmm. Kind of similar things with some of the jumping is that like, okay, I need to get over this gap and I can't make it with my crappy little regular jump. But what you can do is you can angle your little cursor so that it lowers the ground on the other side and then becomes a makeable jump. That's the basic gist. Get from one side to the other. You twirl this line around the screen, to help try to guide yourself.
I want to congratulate you on how well you're doing explaining it, because I watched the trailer for this, and what a fucking weird game this one is. It just,
yeah,
the trailer was breaking my brain with how they were doing things.
Yeah, it starts to make more sense. Like I said, like once you're onboarded into it, and it does a decent job. And I don't recommend trying to skip ahead, because you will not learn things that way. Because then suddenly there's like enemies in the stages, and it's like, oh shit, how do I deal with these things? I wasn't ready for this. I didn't sign up for this. So you you also in the levels will sometimes have like these little, I guess they're aliens, alien dudes that you can pick up. That's kind of like an extra thing. Each level has kind of its own additional challenges, which will include, the time it takes to get through the level, saving these little alien dudes, and then the most bastardly of the challenges, which is a limitation on how much you can rotate the dimensional splitter around the point. So like you can only rotate it like less than like 900 degrees worth of rotation in order to clear the level, which is a real fucking mind bender, which I saw and I was like, oh, I am not going to pay attention to that at all. One bit.
Ever.
No, thank you. No, that's just way too hard. And maybe it's not at a certain point.
Oh my God, there's probably going to be achievements for that on Xbox. Son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch.
Get all 3 stars on a level or something.
It's okay. You just don't have to do it, Joe. You don't have to do it.
Cole, do you want to back me up on this one?
You have to do it. You have to.
No, you don't have to do it. Anyways.
Rules. If there's an achievement, you must suffer.
Well, no. I mean, the whole point is to achieve something. So there you go. Make it happen. If you can't, well, move on.
Yeah, exactly. If you can't move on, or if you read the list,
there's
you're
no
like, oh,
moving on. There's only death. If you do not complete it, you spontaneously combust.
That is not true. I have not completed many achievements in my
You
day.
also told me that you can't scan your eyeballs for stuff, so I don't believe you today.
The IT man!
So,
Jesus Christ, this fucking show.
So anyways, so my trouble with the game, like as you get going with it, and it can be difficult. Like they even give you they give you an ability eventually, which lets you pop out like a little bubble around your rabbit dude, which lets you survey the immediate area in both worlds around you. Or at least if the line is close to you, it shows you the flip, if that makes sense, so, which it might not. What?
I was singing Phenomena, but with the rabbit.
You were. Oh,
rabbit.
Okay. All right.
Pernell's in his own world. Just continue on with World Splitter.
Let's continue on with World Splitter. So, but it is pretty tough, in my opinion, to figure some of this stuff out sometimes. And what I really, because sometimes you'll like rotate your little spinner around, and you will like the ground underneath you will disappear and you will fall to your death, or you will be moving upward on some ground and you will just kind of slam into a ceiling and crush yourself to death out of nowhere. And like kind of just the game does not have a very swift and snappy speed. It can be a little slow getting through this stuff. And if there's anything, and when you fall on a level, you go back to the beginning. And if there's anything that people I think should know for listening to me on this podcast is I hate it when things waste my goddamn time. Yeah. And I desperately wish this game had a like little bitty rewind feature. Let's like, okay, if you die, we're just going to turn it back here like a couple seconds so you're alive in the spot where you are. That would have made a world of difference in this game for me, because as it is, it's just like, if I was already getting frustrated with a level and then that shit happened, I would just be like, all right, I'm good for right now. I'm turning this shit off. And that's like, it's one thing, but it would make a big difference in terms of the overall playability and I think accessibility of the game. I mean, they do have it so you can jump around and skip to any world, but like if you get stuck, but like I said, you kind of, I think, want to follow the difficulty curve to. I mean, you can, but it feels like you're shorting yourself out by not going through and kind of learning all the little tricks they're teaching you along the way. And the difficulty seems to scale pretty well, but it's a challenge.
As it stands for $20, what do you think of it?
I think it's worth a try. It's not like a slam dunk like puzzle game where the mechanics and everything come together into like this beautiful, perfect harmony. It has a good mechanic to it, but the mechanic is a motherfucker, and it can be really tough. But it is a good mechanic. But it's a little bit harsh. There's 60 levels in it, and you're not gonna snippy snap through those. So you'll probably see a pretty good value out of the game. Go figure. I did not complete all 60 levels. Spoiler. So
I do want to point out I should have included the third line of the description on the Switch page, which says the game features a unique gameplay mechanic, a combination of jump and run elements and logical thinking puzzle.
Yeah, like I said, it's not a good jump in this game. It's not a good jump.
All right,
better jump in there. Feels kind of bushy and low. Yeah.
All right, well, that is it for you, Tim. Thank you as always for being here.
To go nappy nap. Yeah. I will be back next week. I got games. More games.
Indeed.
On the horizon.
Man, we'll be back next week.
Tim, do you have any final words?
No, I don't. Sorry.
But those are your final words.
Those are my final words. There you go. My final words is no, I don't. Good night. The last thing I have to say for myself. Good day. Good night.
Good fight. Good night.
All right, next game to talk about is called Battle Axe, developed by Bitmap Bureau, published by Numskull Games, released April 23rd on Xbox One, Switch, PS4, and PC for $29.99. For as long as you and your people can remember, your homeland of mercy has been held in the tyrannical grip of the Etheldred, a despotic sorceress in the distant icy wastelands to the north. Every 7 years, she sends her army south to handpick inhabitants from each township who will be subjected to a life of slavery, and they are never heard from again. A call is sent out to champions across the land, pleading with them to put an end to her rule. An elf, a wizard, and a marauder answer the call. Join this band of heroes on their quest to vanquish evil from the land once and for all. Pernell, tell us about your time with Battle Axe.
I hope you were listening, because that's about the gist you're going to get from the narrative in this game, because in classic arcade fashion, there is no story here. You get a quick intro video that's meant to draw you to the arcade cabinet, and off you go. In this game, you get to choose between one of three characters, and you get to traverse through 4 stages. Each of those characters play slightly differently, but they have the same general combination of 3 things they can do. They have a melee attack, they have a dash attack, and they have a sort of like projectile attack. Now, some characters can fire multiple projectiles quickly. Some characters can fire only one. Well, I'll be specific. So, like, 2 characters I dabbled with were the wizard, Lolo, or I guess he's considered a druid here. And his forte is he sucks at melee combat. He has a beard. He's meant to be like an easy character, I guess, but he has a beard that's crappy for melee, but his projectile attack fires like rapid fire. And his dash is kind of like a phase in and phase out, and when he phases back in, he damages enemies around him. And the character that I primarily used was the Dark Elf, who was exceptional at melee combat, but had atrocious projectile combat. She could throw 1 dagger at a time, and if it's on the screen, she cannot throw a second, which makes the first boss a pain in the ass, because you can only hurt it with projectile attacks. So, woof. But once you get past him, though, tearing it up. Yeah. And then the last
first
character,
boss. Oh my god, that fucking first.
This is going to be fun when we get to the airport. I can tell already. So the third guy I admittedly didn't do much with, but he has like a cannon arm of sorts. So he uses like a hammer for his melee attack. He can fire it, but he's like apparently like stupid slow.
He's strong brawler, and I think he has extra health.
Okay, that's good then. Because health is what you will want in this game, because they also treat it like an arcade game. As you run through stages, the general premise is to get from the beginning to the end, and as you progress to the level, you're fighting enemies trying to find your way through the level because some of them have slightly different pathways, like not so far to call them mazes, but you might find yourself having to choose between one of two directions to go. And while you're out there, you will be finding two different types of things. Treasure chests, which can contain items that are randomized, so you never know what you're going to get on each playthrough. Sometimes even be a monster, which if that happens, just fuck it. And you can also find villagers, which honestly, I don't know what they do aside from giving you general points, and they probably factor into your rank at the end of the stage. But honestly, if you were just trying to play the game with the intent of beating it, you probably, I mean, unless there's some kind of like end-game condition where if you don't have all the villagers, you get the bad ending or something, you could probably just skip them. But honestly, I'm a completist type dude, so I'm saving villagers, damn it.
And you won't get to the end anyway, so don't worry about it.
Not necessarily. We'll get to that in a second. So, at the end of each level, there is a boss fight. And the boss, depending on the boss you're fighting, may require a different bit of a strategy. Also, the boss and the character you're using may require a different sort of strategy. For example, like the first boss is a cakewalk with Lolo, but a pain in the ass with the Dark Elf, whereas the second boss is much, I think, well, who am I kidding? Lolo is easier with all of them because projectiles, but I feel like the second boss was a lot easier for me to fight with the Dark Elf because I could actually, reach it. So you have to pretty much work out different strategies with different characters. At the end of every level, you go to a campfire where, I guess a wandering merchant will sell you a variety of items. The game does not tell you what any of these things do. You just kind of have to figure it out. And with the exception of one, I finally figured out what all of them do. There is a chicken that gives you 1 hit point when you use it. It's cheap, and it may as well be because you only get 1 friggin' hit point. There's a scroll that is like a bomb that attacks the entire screen. There's an item that makes you walk faster. There's an item that increases your health bar by 1 and refills it, which is very important. And also item that increases the power of your projectile. I don't know what the shield with the fist on it does. It makes you think more attack power or greater defense, but I never really quite clicked with it. So basically, that is generally the idea of like the gameplay flow. Gameplay action on the game proper is manic and frantic. The enemies will spawn like nobody's business from the second level on. Well, more specifically, the second level. But when you're near monster generators, the generators make monsters spawn as well until you ultimately destroy them. So if you let generators run for too long, you can get overwhelmed if you're not playing smart. It's interesting how this game works, too, because it has that arcadey feel without the the composer or the person running the machine maxing the difficulty up such you just ultimately just start absorbing hits. And what I mean by that is when you first start playing the game, you will likely get the living snot kicked out of you because there are some real cheap elements that factor. Like, for example, you might be walking from the bottom of the screen up, and then suddenly, boom, there's a flame-throwing face there, but you don't have time to react to it. It just breaks you, boom, take a hit. But as you've played the game a few times, you might be like, well, the level layout doesn't really change, so it's like, I know that's going to happen, and you use your dash to get the hell out of the way. So what ends up happening is, like, at least for the first 2 levels for me, you start out playing, you get your ass handed to you. By, like, maybe the second or third time you're playing through it, you might find yourself going, if I get hit one time on stage 1, I'm resetting the whole fucking game, because that's clearly a bad run. If you find yourself getting a potion from one of the treasure chests, oh, that's going to be a lucky run, because the potion gives you a full heal, and that is probably the best item in the game, hands freaking down.
You know what I love? I love in the caves in stage 2 where there's that one chest that's near a cliff that no matter how you hit it, the item flies off the cliff.
Oh no, you can get around it. It pissed me. Really? I've never gotten a potion from it, but
I have always seen a potion in that fucking chest every time. And every time it has gone flying off.
You literally have to walk behind it and smack it in the other direction. Like, I used to have that problem. I was like, I can't, this is bullshit. I'm tired of it. Because the last time it happened to me, it was a good item. It wasn't a potion, but it was a good item. And I needed it. So, going forward, I just had to run up to it. You go behind it and you whack it and you smack. So, because when you hit the chest and it opens up, the item flies in the direction that you smacked it in. Yeah. So, smack it away from the cliff.
In the heat of the moment, though, you're just swinging. And because enemies are coming at you nonstop in this.
But that's the part of the thing that I like, though. Is like, it's just like I was saying before. Like, at first you're like, fuck, everything's everywhere. What am I doing? Smack, smack, smack. But it has that arcadey game feel where it's repetitive. You do the same levels over and over and over and over again. And by like that fourth run or so or whatever, it's like rote now. Now you're just running, like, I know there's a generator here. I'm going to plan not to go up, smack with some daggers. And you don't know where they're going to spawn from. They just pop out of the ground, but you know enemies are going to spawn here. Just plan for it. And you start to kind of build a route and a plan in your head that ends up becoming a thing where you start out getting your ass beat on the level. And then eventually you're like, if I get hit once, I'm resetting the game because I'm better than this. And you're like, I can't believe I got here.
I can't even get to that point. It's just the game. It feels like there are just too many cheap hits between the orc towers throwing those bricks at you with absolute precision, or the bugs that shoot at you with precision, despite the fact that you only have 8 directional attacks. It feels too cheap. And if I were to get anything out of this game from the developers, it would be to throw in a casual difficulty level. Throw something in there so I could actually see the end of this game, because I want to see the rest of this game. It is a beautiful game. Jesus, the artwork in this game is just jaw-droppingly beautiful. I love the visuals in this game.
Well, I can say for like folks though, there is an easier difficulty. Whether or not it'll be the thing that gets you to the game is another story, but it is worth mentioning here. And what the easier difficulty does is, I didn't get too much with it because I have a thing where I have to play the default difficulty or I'll lose my marbles. But I do know that when you beat levels, it refills your health, which goes quite a long way as far as like what you end up doing with your money. Because with a lot of my play runs, what I would do is I'd get to the end of the level and I would spend money on the potion that increases your health by 1 and refills it, not for the increase of health, but to get the heal. And what that means is that I'm not dropping the 100 coins on the increased projectile damage or the 50 to get my speed bump until like stage 3. And I've gotten to the last stage once, but the thing that usually gave me problems was the boss of stage 3. But it's something that I can work through eventually. Now, the thing that's going to ultimately be worth mentioning for like, you know, the arcade nuts are just like, whatever, I can handle this challenge or whatnot, is the fact that there are only 4 stages. So what's going to happen is you're going to play through the game, beat those 4 stages. You're going to unlock the sort of quote unquote remix mode, which is basically the same game backwards. Like they invert the map and they move some items around. So it's not enough to give you a brand new game, but it's enough to be like, okay, well, I don't particularly memorize where the chest is going to be this time or where the villagers are going to be this time. But even still, if you beat the game once, the new game plus is going to be fairly short-lived too. However, the last mode they provide you with is also an infinite mode. An infinite mode is basically the idea of like how far can you get before you just succumb to death and then getting your high score there. And whereas on the normal game, the objective is to get to the boss and defeat it, in infinite mode, the game plays a little bit more like a zombies ate my neighbor sort of clone, except the enemies can't kill the neighbors. Your goal is to find a certain number of villagers on the stage, and once you find all the villagers, a portal opens up to go to the next level. And sometimes, rather than like go to like the merchant after like end of a level, the merchant might be on the stage, and if you find them on the level, you can buy stuff with your money. So for me, the main gripes I would have with the game is that I wish there was more of it. Like, it's because I mean, like, the game is challenging and you're going to work to get to the end of it, but it's kind of like how I used to feel about Ikaruga back in the day, which is that Ikaruga had like 5 stages or 4 or 5 stages, which isn't a lot of game. Most of your time was spent getting good enough to get to the end. But once you got good enough, you didn't really experience a lot of actual game. You just repeated the same stuff over and over again until you got to the end.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of replay in this to get through, actually get good enough to get to the end. I've only made it to stage 2. I can't get past the boss in stage 2. I've died every time I've gotten there because the lead up would just, those goddamn flamethrowers. Seriously, those flame faces, fuck them so hard.
They were the worst thing on that level for me. Like, once, like, that's where the memory kicked in, because before I was like, I know where this is going to be. Before that happened, that was just like, just take my fucking health away. Just take them, because they were just like draining my shit
every time they would get you. And then,
it was the worst when you came from the bottom to the top, because it basically would like trigger the spraying before you actually saw the face on the screen to know it was going to do it.
Mhm.
So it was like a guaranteed hit if you didn't know it was coming. So that was a rough patch.
Yeah, and then infinite mode, I think I made it to stage 6.
God damn, man. I feel like, for me, it's like the infinite mode is like something that wouldn't stick with me very long. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to love the idea behind that, but I'm the type of guy where it's like, I need to see new stuff. Like, as I'm progressing,
I mean, they do change it up. Every couple of stages, they change it up with different backgrounds and enemies and stuff, but I think the game is too punishing. It's fun, but what's there, it's just too hard and too pricey, because at $30, it really is asking a lot for a little with this game.
It's interesting, though, in a way. Like, when I was doing the game review, I was playing, I was like, man, this price tag is garbage. But then I started thinking a bit more, and I started realizing that people pay like freaking $200-300 to get Paprium from Watermelon. And like, there's like a weird market out there. I don't even want to call it weird, because I'm not saying it in a derogatory way, but there's a market of people who are just like, they clamor for this kind of stuff. And the price tag for them is like, I don't care what the price is as long as the game works. And for those people, specifically those people, you will be happy with this, I think, because you're going to pay the money. You're going to get your arcade feel with great graphics and great music, because the music is legit. Even the sound, like, they intentionally go out of their way to give you that arcade garble voice. Like, it's not clear. It's arcade garble, and it's great.
The best way I could describe the audience for this game is when your friends had Super Nintendo Genesis, but you had the Neo Geo.
Yeah, this is for the Neo Geo people. Like, this is for that group. The guy that would pay $300 or like $200 to get a cart of a game that had 5 stages in it, but it looked really good and sounded really good, and it felt like you were playing an arcade game. Like, that guy, buy this because the game is legit. But if you're value conscious, what do you say?
I was just going to say, I love the Neo Geo carts, because if you spent too much money on them and got kicked out of your home, you could make a new home out of those cartridges.
You just build yourself a second home. But like, if you're value conscious and you see this game on the shop and you're like, oh, I'm interested, $30, what do I think? Well, you might want to wait for a sale, because there's not a lot of content here for what you're dropping your biddies on. Wait for a decent sale on it and then take a plunge, because if you're down with arcade action, you're okay with the fact that you're going to be breaking your balls to get to the end of it for as short as it actually is. Disappointment will not be your friend here. You will be enjoying this title. Just know it's going to be a challenge, and the price tag is a bit hefty for what they're giving you. It's more for the aficionados than anything.
A good way to put it. All right, next game is called Bad Dream Coma, developed by Desert Fox, published by Ultimate Games, released April 20th on Xbox One for $9.99. Welcome in Bad Dream Coma, a point-and-click game where unique welcome
I cannot say that word with a straight face anymore.
I can't. Damn it, Chris. A point-and-click game where unique minimalistic art style creates an unforgettable and atmospheric experience. Travel through the surreal and disturbing dreamland where everything depends on your actions. You can't die, but you can suffer greatly. Cole, that sounds fantastic.
This is definitely straight up my alley. I love the quirky macabre shit, and this just had my name all over it. I will say I was a little hesitant when I saw the art style, that I was like, I don't know if that art style can carry a whole ass game. A lot of times when games are deemed minimalist, they just strip away any kind of detail. And for me, that kind of sucks the joy out of a point and click, because you want to get lost in that world while you're exploring it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for a minimalist world in a point and click, I'm sitting there holding my breath. I'm a little hesitant. But Bad Dream Coma, it introduces you to this just incredibly well done pen and ink style world on just grungy, dirty paper, you very much feel like you've fallen into a surreal dream just the moment you start with it. Your first person, because of course point and click, that's the way they usually are. And you have just this broken bridge of a world around you. And there are crows. And if you do like I did and immediately go, can I pet the crow? Because I love crows. And then you discover that you cannot pet the crows because it in fact punches them and they die. And then I was so sad. And I was like, why wouldn't they let me just pet the crow? And then I got a badge that said I was an enemy of the birds. And I was like, no! And then at that point, I was just like, well, now I'm committed to fuckery. And that's how I got the bad ending.
Okay, bird puncher.
Because at that point, I was like, well, if I punch one, maybe there's an achievement for punching them all, and I have to just keep punching the birds now. And then,
pretty sure I punched the birds too while I was playing this.
Yeah, every animal I ran into, I was like, well, I guess you gotta die. It was a choice that was made for me. I didn't get to have a say in the result. I just decided whether or not to touch the bird.
I didn't ask to join a life of crime. It just, the first crime happened accidentally and the rest just kind of followed.
Sometimes you trip and fall and find yourself robbing a bank. It just happened. So yeah,
Ashley has plenty of stories from work where it's like, oh, I just slipped and fell on the zucchini, I swear.
So that's punching birds aside, you'll need to solve a variety of puzzles, as point and clicks often will have you do. In the beginning, the puzzles kind of feel a little mundane. It's like, okay, I need to cross the bridge. I need some boards. So I need to find a crowbar. And then you're like, okay, but I can't fucking find a crowbar anywhere, right?
Because you were punching all the crows.
Look, I had a job.
Where's Carnage? Is he still around? He'd approve of that one.
So, you're like, okay, I need a crowbar. And then you realize that you're not going to find whatever the fuck you need. And that's because everything you need is hidden in this incredibly surreal series of events. You got to find a battery, put the battery in the controller, use the controller to start up a little remote controlled car and drive it into a bridge, and then use a magnifying glass to look inside of it to see a drunk man that has died because you wrecked the remote controlled car. And so then you steal his
an experience
keys, and then you steal the alcohol. Also, I'm pretty sure that led to a bad mark, and that's another reason why I got the bad ending. I made a lot of fucked up decisions, and I'd like to reiterate that as I got further in the game, I was so committed to my fucked up decisions that when I got stuck and I asked number one to help me find a solution in the Steam guides, she was like, okay, so this should be here and that should be there, and I was like, no, it's not. And it was because everything had been so badly fucked up from my decisions that I had to find alternative ways to solve puzzles from what the Steam guides had.
Oh my god, Cole.
I had to go so out of my way for some of these solutions. But even though they were difficult, they weren't undoable. You just really had to bend your brain and go, okay, it's surreal and it's fucked up. What's the most fucked up solution I can come up with? At one point, part of the world was gone, and the word go away was scribbled across where it was supposed to be a path to go to another area. And my solution was kill this jackrabbit looking thing with a rat tail and cut its foot off, and then use this blood to scribble out go away and make an arrow so I could go where I needed to be.
Christ.
There is no subtlety with the horror in this game. The whole premise is that...
it's M-rated.
Yeah,
probably address
the whole premise is that people are stuck in their nightmares. And how do you wake up from a nightmare? You die, right? And then you get to go back to the real world. These people are stuck. They can't die. They're just suffering in their dreams. So you'll encounter people who are like standing there at the hospital holding their guts because they can't die. They're just stuck in their dream.
Do they feel the pain of it though?
Yes. And the doctor is like just a bodiless head. At one point you find a body with a teddy bear head to it. And you gotta remember that there's a teddy bear body at the hospital. Now how are you gonna get that teddy bear off a living body and take the head back to the hospital and put it back together to have the teddy bear that you actually need?
Kill a rabbit?
No.
Punch crow?
No.
You punched a crow, though, didn't you?
Not in this sequence, because there weren't any.
Because you already punched them.
They were already dead. I did love that the game like started to torment me for my own fuckery. And there were parts where I touched something I shouldn't have, and I got some of my fingers bit off. And so when you would hover your mouse or your cursor over something, it would look like a hand, right? And after I lost my fingers, if I hovered over something, it was just the ring finger and the thumb, and the other fingers were stumps. And it was so good. And then there come another part where I lost my whole goddamn arm because I'm dumb. And I keep making bad decisions once I've done it. And so then after I lost my whole ass arm, from then on, whenever I hovered over something, the hand was my left hand. It was so well done that they put that kind of thought into it, because nobody else would just be like, well, we already made one hand, we're just going to stick with it.
I lost some fingers, but not a whole arm. I didn't know that. That's really cool.
I fed it to a spider.
She's like, well, I already lost one finger. I just had to keep going at this point.
Well, I had reattached my fingers with some glue and some thread.
Jesus.
I had reattached my fingers. I found them in the soup at the hospital.
So, $10 on Bad Dream Coma. What are you thinking on this one?
I really enjoyed this game. You have to know that, like, you have a penchant for this
symmetry
kind
is important.
You have to have like a penchant for that surreal, macabre bullshit, right? Like, you have to know you got a strong stomach and can handle what it's going to throw at you. But if you can, oh my God, you're going to love it.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Next up is called Smelter, developed by X Plus Company Limited, published by DANGEN Entertainment, released April 22nd on Xbox One, Switch, PS4, and PC. For $19.99, you are Eve, fresh out of Eden and armed with a living suit of armor. Smelter. Explore a dangerous new world, battle its bizarre denizens, and expand your empire in a desperate journey to find Adam. Pernell, tell us about your time with Smelter.
Well, I know a few years ago, I think it was like 2 years ago at this point, I reviewed a game called Soul Seraph. And the premise behind that game was like a company saying, hey, we miss ActRaiser. ActRaiser was a great game. What if someone else attempted that gameplay style, or more specifically that combination of, sim map management and action platform sequences? And unfortunately, that game kind of came up short in the grand scheme of things. That won't be the case for Smelter. Smelter is legit. The idea behind this game is Eve is partnered with this suit of armor, or I guess he's just a general monster that can meld with her as a suit of armor. And she is basically trying to find her way back to Adam, and I guess also just to Eden. But in the process, she is also helping Smelter with regaining control of the kingdom that they fell into, which is called the Rumbly Lands. And the way this works out is that there are two halves to the gameplay. I kind of just spoiled them earlier in the discussion. There is the map edit, the sim map element to the game, where you are controlling Smelter's troops by building structures which to house them. There are homes which generate zerms. That's what the troops are called, zerms. Homes which generate them, shrines which generate the food that they eat, and then various facilities that they can attack from and defend from. So basically you generate the zerms, you feed them, and then you send them to these facilities. And as you're progressing across these lands, enemies will be spawned from various landscape locations on the map, depending on where you're at. and they ultimately are trying to just destroy your base. And eventually, I guess it never happened, which is why I don't know. But I guess ultimately your overall core, which is at the center of the map, but your enemies fight them off. Now, depending on where you are on the map, you might come across a facility that requires you to perform an action. Like it might be control over. Oh, before I get to that, I guess just explain this. You want to expand your empire too. So you start out in the center of the map, and you can spend like a currency to develop on squares of land to build a road that just goes from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, like just different squares. And then on top of those squares, you can develop the buildings I was talking about and build on them. So you're expanding out, building facilities, and eventually you're coming across the occasional like goal where it's like, hey, this building, we need to get into it, but it's blocked off by a shield. But there are 3 towers stationed here, and if you can expand out to those towers and send units there, they can fire a beam to destroy the shield. So that becomes your goal for that environment. Expand your territory, control the towers, and destroy the shield. Then you're able to enter that facility, and then the action platforming stages begin. And the best way to describe these environments is sort of like, it's kind of like Mega Man X, but unfortunately the dash isn't as responsive as Mega Man X is. But that's not it's not a detriment. I just wish it were, but it doesn't.
Didn't like the jump either. I thought the gravity was weird on the jump.
Oh, I was killing those jumps. It just sucked that if you play Mega Man X, you get adjusted to the idea of like, just don't stop dashing, just dash forever. But in this game, that doesn't quite work. Like you can do that, I guess, but it doesn't feel right. But as you pretty much can like run around. You have a variety of attacks because the way attacking even works in this game is that you start out with 1 armor, though I guess you even find that on the first stage. But nonetheless, let's just consider that you start with 1 armor. But as you progress through the game, you ultimately get 2 other sets of armor. Each of those sets of armor can be swapped on the fly, and they each have their own sets of attacks and skills that you can expand on by finding shrines on the sim map, and then activate it using items that you earn from trials, which you find in the action stages and then complete. What the hell is a trial? A trial is almost like a VR room where the game will say, give you a goal, like don't get hit, or don't be seen, or
the stealth. I hated the stealth ones.
The stealth ones got rough. They were actually probably the hardest ones for me, but what I did like about them is that they were tailored, like very well tailored. So, like, for example, when you get all the different armor sets, you might find yourself occasionally thinking, crap, which armor should I use here? Should I use the one that lets me do like dash jumps? Should I use the one that lets me do a hover drop? Should I use the one that lets me use a whip? Should I use the one that lets me phase through walls? But when you get to the trials say you can only use this armor, which means they built this specifically for that armor to progress through, which I love the damn trials. They were cracked to me. Every time, there's 3 in every stage. Every time I found one, you're allowed to leave and redo them later. That wasn't happening for me. It had to get beaten the moment I found it because they were a joy to play. And they really did make you work. Like one of my favorite ones was still one where it was like a chase level where you were getting chased by water going up a pillar, and it was like, okay, get to the top and don't get hit. So there's enemies like chasing you around the floor. You have to pretty much avoid the enemies that are trying to knock you off while also keeping ahead of the water that's chasing you up. And it got pretty hectic, but it's just a joy. And the best thing about them is none of them are impossible. They just make you work. So there's that part. But when you complete those areas, you get a crest. And those are the crests that you use on the shrines that you find on the sim map to unlock new abilities for the different armors that you can acquire. And that's actually kind of a nice, cool little thing because whenever you come across those spots, you're like, yeah, I'm going to get some new abilities soon, all stuff, or upgrades to current abilities. The combat feels great to utilize. About the only thing that made me feel sad about the combat stuff was that, some of the, I feel like some of the stuff was almost outclassed. I almost never wanted to use the fist attack, but I guess it is the strongest of the attacks, but it's also the one that's closest range. The gun, which is pretty much the closest, the Mega Man thing, is on the 3rd armor, but it's also the weakest attack that you get. And then the other part that isn't bad. It's just, man, that was rough. Is the fact that, again, it's designed with that Mega Man X feel of movement, but they take the different things that you can do that combined would give you that frenetic motion, and they divide it between the 3 armors. So, like, the double jump and high jump are on the rock armor. The wind armor or the electrical armor is the one that you do dash jumping. And the dark armor, which I'm not sure what element that would be, is what lets you do like hover drops. So you can't say, also the electric lets you run up walls too, which is freaking awesome. But you can't say, dash jump into a hover descent, because once you're in that dash jump, you're committed to it. But again, small gripes, but they didn't hurt the game. Like it's been a great time to play. It's not hard. It's not easy, but it's not hard. It's middle road difficulty there. It's the only thing I feel like people might really get frustrated with, but I guess it kind of comes with the territory, is that it combines 2 types of gameplay. And I've already come across friends who started playing it a bit, and they're like, oh, I just want to do the platforming stage, but I got to do this damn sim before I get there. There might be a lot of people that feel exactly that way. I can't think of there being a person that's like, hey, I just want to do more sims. Fuck these dumb platforming sections. I want the sim part.
Guilty.
If you end up being that person, I will be shocked, but okay with it. But man, I'll be surprised. But like, they take 2 different gameplay styles and say, people will like this. And while I do personally like it, I definitely did prefer the platforming sections. So there were definitely times where I was like, man, I want to get to another platforming stage. But first I got to resolve this sim sequence. I got to take the barrier down. And there were definitely times where like the sim stuff didn't quite go my way. Like I just wasn't quite mapping it out in a way that would get me the amount of food I needed to get the soldiers that I needed to get the defenses up. So when enemies started spawning at the place that they wanted them to, they would be taken care of. But I felt like they at least weren't particularly punishing with it, because there were definitely like certain missions where the game would say, we need to do this. And then when you start to get it all off the ground, enemies will start spawning and you're like in manic mode trying to stop them, which I also forgot to mention. In addition to the units fighting, Smelter can also fire bullets at the enemies himself. He's not very powerful, so without soldiers, he's going to get overwhelmed, but it's still nice that he can do that. But what that means
Cole,
is
you said you enjoyed the sim stuff?
Yeah, it could have been a little more in-depth for my liking. Because I do tend to like city builders and things in that regard. So I actually did enjoy the sim parts.
but more than the platforming, though?
I didn't enjoy the platforming as much as you did. I thought that it wasn't tight enough, and that there were times where I was just flying off the edge when I definitely should have been jumping, and like the buttons weren't responsive enough to keep up with how fast I was trying to go through it. Which is a rare complaint from me. But I didn't think it was tight enough. And so I was enjoying the sim parts a little more, because at least it was more responsive.
Oh, we got $20 on this game. What are the 2 of you thinking?
Oh, I'm sold on a buy. Like, I've been enjoying the hell out of it, and hope to continue to do so. But I think it's a solid buy. Just know that if you've never played something like ActRaiser before, you are getting 2 distinct gameplay styles that combine to one fun game. Don't come in after we talk to you and say, man, this game sucks. I only wanted 1. You gave me 2. Well, guess what? You've been warned, friend. But they're both engaging.
All thoughts?
I think the gameplay is okay enough that I'm good with a try it on it. I think there could definitely be a little more polish and smoothing out as far as the platforming goes, but I can be really fickle about platforming, so that may just be a me thing.
Girl could cover up. I mean, come on.
Listen.
Them titties hanging out.
I wanted to go on a tangent about it, but also this wasn't my review. But I'm going to be perfectly honest. I hadn't looked at the screenshots when you offered it to me. It was just like you said, do you want to back up on this? And I said, yeah, fine, because I felt like I turned too many down recently. And the moment I started playing, I was like, okay, she's in a leaf bikini, but it's Adam and Eve. I can roll with it, right? And then they gave her armor, and immediately the bottom half of her tits are heaving. And I was just like, if I had paid for this, I would have requested a refund. Because that shit was so gratuitous and unnecessary. And I was like, God damn it. I mean, that shit clearly wasn't done for people like me, and that's fine. But
yeah. Oh, $20 your verdict?
It's a try it. I'm okay with it. Like, I didn't hate it, but I wasn't overjoyed with it either.
Oh, man. All right. Well, next game to talk about is called Buildings Have Feelings 2, developed by Blackstaff Games, published by Merge Games, released April 22nd on Xbox One, Switch, PS4, and PC for $19.99. Imagine a city where buildings can walk and talk to one another. Each one has its own aspirations, hopes, and fears. Most of the time, they're just trying to get along with each other and make it through the day. Buildings Have Feelings 2 is a city management game with character. Players must grow their city while making sure the individual buildings thrive or risk them being demolished forever. Chris, tell us about your time with Buildings Have Feelings 2. I know you asked me about this one like a year ago.
Yes, at last it's out. Actually,
about this one too, so I'm all ears.
We had pre-ordered this one from GameStop last year, about early last year, and because it got delayed, like the pre-orders got canceled and stuff. So
well, now
may
it
still
is
buy a
here,
physical
and
version.
now you got your hands on it. What do you think of it?
Okay, so this is a simulation / kind of a puzzle game. Kind of wish it was a platformer too. I'll get to that in a second. But so this is a game about buildings. The characters are literally buildings. And the game establishes this by having friends gather, like building friends, that is to say 3 buildings who are friends, gathered around to watch one of their other friends get demolished. And as he reflects on his life, as sad piano music plays. And that's how the game starts. It actually picks up a lot more, like, emotionally, but I kind of like that as, like, establishing the stakes. Also, it helps establish right away that this is not an American game. I actually thought it was British. Turns out it's Irish. It's as soon as I started talking, the cat started yelling. Yeah, the game was made in Ireland, and so it starts in the Victorian era. So it starts off a little muddy looking. But you actually they turn on the charm immediately. So I mean, don't worry about this being a dour thing. So you play as the Halfway Hotel, which is your character's name. It's just a little hotel who's trying to help their other friends, and you talk to buildings, and you walk around in a kind of 2D sort of thing, and I really want to take an opportunity to say that I love the walking animations because they're little bouncy buildings, their little stick arms are like kind of bouncing out, and it's adorbs. And you walk around, and as you get near other buildings that you can talk to, because everything exists on one plane, everything else is just background. So everything is going to happen from left to right. So it doesn't get super complicated in that way. When you get near a building, it highlights if they have a specific message for you, they'll have an exclamation point. There's like quest markers and stuff, and you talk to the buildings, and they give you their story, and the story often involves having to build more stuff, having to change some things, having to do other type stuff. Like it basically is a way to get the building management simulation going through storyline rather than just a cold, this is what you have to do. So I like that. It also does have actually the information available in the cold version as well, but once you've actually talked to everybody. So the way that buildings work is that you take the resources that you have, which are bricks, and they kind of act like money. And in fact, they're gold bricks on the screen. So that's, drives it home even further. So let's say you have like a residence, and the residence is near a grocer. That's like your first scenario. And so you learn that each building has certain stats, and when a building is neighboring them, it increases. If they have the same stat, then both of their stats increase mutually. By the same token, if you build a building that they don't like next to them, then it has like it can have a certain effect on them, including lowering a certain stat. And if you lower the stats too much, of course, that's bad. The buildings get sad and then get demolished, and sad piano music again. So basically, if you put your grocery store correctly next to your residential buildings, your quaint residence as they're titled, then it might cause their people stat to go up. And once the stats go up enough, then you can improve the building, and just by clicking on it and saying improve. And when a building improves, that gets you more money, more resource, and then you can build more buildings, which of course cost resources. And ultimately what you're trying to do is build up enough bricks that you can cross like a bridge into the next stage kind of thing, where an even more complicated series of things happen. And the kind of feelings that you're managing, like for instance, is that you have to, in the first stage, you have to build a linen factory, a linens factory, which is largely the industry that you're dealing with. You have to build it, but you have to keep it away from the grocery store because the greengrocer has a past of being a linen warehouse itself, and it's trying to get out of that. Like it has turned over a new leaf, as it were, and become a greengrocer. And so the residential buildings that are its friends are trying to keep the influence of linen factories away from it. You see how that kind of, it's not just saying, oh, these pollute, so they don't need to go near the residents, old SimCity logic. They actually have like storyline reasons for doing everything. And as you go in and, build buildings, and sometimes you even have to change like the nature of a business or a resident or something like that in order to, get those payoffs. You can even do things such as like if you want to relocate a building, you hold down the shoulder button and walk with the building to another spot. Like you literally, the building takes the other building's hand and they walk together to another spot.
That's beautiful.
Again, yeah, it's adorable. Then the graphics in it just has this charming style to it. I really love watching this game. And if you make the only kind of weird thing is that if you make a mistake and like build a residential building where you meant to build a residential building, you build a residential or you meant to build like a factory or something, because you have to build like the type of building first and then you tell it what it's going to be. So if it's the wrong type of building, you can't make it into like a factory if it is already if it's the kind of building that needs to be a residence.
No.
But you could like turn a certain, a residence into a pub or something like that. I don't remember the exact rules, but the game's good about providing stat screen after stat screen to tell you what all you can do and what you can't. And it's got a great hint system too.
Pernell,
yeah.
Do you have any questions? You're the one who was asking about this one as well.
I mean, honestly, I'm just curious about if the game is fun, because it's such an odd premise for a game, which is why I was interested in the first place.
Okay, so I think that it's fun, but not in the way that SimCity is fun, where you're building like, you're kind of taking an empty canvas and trying to make the best city you can. This one's more quest oriented and it's a little more task oriented, so it's like more of a puzzle game. It's like trying to figure out the complications of putting different kinds of buildings in different places, and also not using up all your resources, knowing when to like tear something down or rebuild it or something like that. So buildings have unique experiences too. Thank you. Yes.
Oh, carnage. Well, this one is $20. What do you think about it, Chris?
$20, I think it's fine. The only real issue I have with it is that the load times are a bit extreme. I actually verified that by pulling up a gameplay video on YouTube of the first level, and just like me, I measured that the loading screen for the first stage is a full 1 minute.
Jeez.
Oof.
Yeah. And on top of that, the game chugs a little if too much is going on. So there's some performance issues that I think need to be ironed out. Apart from that, I have no complaints. This game is
well, where did you play it?
Experience.
I forget what platform you had it.
Switch.
So but Xbox, PlayStation, PC, possible that it might perform a little bit better, but beware possible issues.
Yeah, and people on Steam are complaining about the controls, and I don't know. The controls are fine on the Switch, so it's as good as it can be for walking around with a building. My other note is that even though it would serve no function, I would like the building to be able to jump, so that while I'm walking around, I can just hop around.
That makes sense. I would like to do that too. It's like Mega Man when you jump through the door.
Yes, exactly. That's how I felt. And yeah, I just think it would be fun. But yeah, no, I love this game. I pre-ordered it for a reason, and I may even still buy the physical. So I'd say it's a buy it, but on the Switch version, just be aware that there's some performance issues.
Sounds good. All right, next up is Ladders by POWGI, developed and published by Lightwood Games, released April 27th on PS4, 28th on Xbox, 29th on Switch for $7.99. Make new words by changing one letter at a time. Can you turn one word into another in a limited number of steps? Cole, did you?
I did.
Yay!
And the funny,
$8. What do you say?
That's literally the game. Like, it's just a ladder, and you change. There's a word at the top and a word at the bottom, and you change the letters and the word at the top one at a time until you create the word at the bottom. And there's an achievement if you can do it without using all the ladder rungs. And also the achievements will just pop the whole goddamn time you're playing. Just constantly. Like, I hadn't even looked at the achievements, and they were just popping. And I was like, I don't even know what these are for anymore. I can't see the bottom of the screen. I hope there's no important information down there, because there's just achievements one right after another. And I just let them go. But I had a great time doing it. It's a POWGI game. It's not one that's going to make you think. It's one of those games that you can sit back, put your feet up, and be like, yeah, I like to play word games. And then you get a completion, and you go, that was fun, and then you delete it, and you forget you have it. And that's fine. Sometimes that's just what you need.
How many levels?
I don't know. Because you know what I didn't do? I didn't count. I just pressed play, and I kept going.
So there's a lot, though.
Like,
it's a POWGI game. They don't dick around on content.
Now. Usually, like, there's like achievements tied to beating certain levels and stuff, but with this, the levels are all just like a square with a paw print, and there's no indication of what each one is or differences between them. There is an achievement for beating the last one, and I didn't make it there in my playtime because I was just, like I said, middle of the night, sitting with my feet up, just rolling through it.
Yeah.
Which is how I like to play the POWGI games. Like, these are my, I can't sleep, it's 3 a.m., give me something to do kind of game. And they're perfect for that. They're perfect. It's the middle of the day, everybody's in class, I can't be making noise, I gotta sit here quietly, fuck it, I'm gonna play a POWGI game.
Are you telling me, you're saying you can't make noise, you weren't laughing at all of the awful jokes they have after every puzzle?
Listen, I have been known to text some of those to number one just to piss her off. They're so horribly bad, they're good.
Any that you saved that you would like to read to us?
No, I didn't save any of them.
I'll read the one off the store page. Did you hear about the captain who deliberately crashed into another ship? He was sent to anchor management.
Oh, no.
Stop it. Stop it.
That's why I love the POWGI game.
Oh, yeah.
I think wasn't there one that was like, we know what the dog woman does, but what does Catman do?
Oh, my God.
It was so bad.
I don't know. You're the one who covered this. I literally just bought it as we went live. The game went live at like 8 p.m.
Every now and then I torment number one with them, but for the most part, I just hit the button and go. I get enough of that.
You just die a little bit inside and then hit the button.
I get enough of that shit in this chat with Carnage. At least the ones in POWGI make sense more often than not. Got them going for it.
Oh, Jesus. All right, we got one final game to talk about tonight. That is called Moon Raider, developed by Cascadia Games and Crescent Moon Games, published by Dragues Games, Released April 23rd on Xbox One, Switch, and PS4 for $9.99. Go to the moon in its dangerous underworld to save the day. Moon Raider is an action-packed 2D adventure platformer. Pernell, tell us about Moon Raider.
I want to get this out of the way immediately. You may have looked at some screenshots on this game prior to hearing about it. This is not a Metroidvania game. Don't think about that. Okay, now the game itself, what the heck is it? So you are a young woman whose mother is ill. The trick is that the mother lived on the moon as the moon princess.
What pancakes?
To you. And the cure to her illness lies on going to the moon and collecting a bunch of MacGuffins, so there you are. You are progressing through 10 stages. Each of those stages being broken up into a multitude of individual rooms, like large environments to run around in. And the way the gameplay mechanics work is you can pretty much jump, you can run, and you can fire a gun at enemies. Now, as you run through the levels, you also end up shooting like boxes that yield gems, like just crystal gems. And what ends up happening is, after beating the first boss, you gain access to a dash ability. This dash ability requires energy to perform. The dash is sort of like all-range screw attack. Like, you can hold down the button and just go in any direction you want, as long as you have the gem energy to power it. And, of course, you get that from getting gems. So you are going through these levels, fighting enemies with your pistol or your gun, and eventually getting to the end of the game. Now, what you can do as you're exploring these environments is every once in a while, there are a few things you can come across. So there are bonuses. Like there are each zone, as in like zone 1-1 through zone 1-6, within that bubble of rooms, one area has a secret area that you can find. And all the secret area really is just another door that you can exit out of that isn't the door that they expect you to leave from. And when you find that, you can go in there, and it usually involves you getting a ridiculous amount of gems to collect to charge your meter. And sometimes you'll also find some of the MacGuffins that you need to juice up your mom's healing or cure.
Your mom's? No, wait, what?
Hi-oh. And there's also hidden in every zone one upgrade to your main character. Now, I ended up missing them the first one or two because I didn't think about it. Well, let me rephrase that. I ended up missing the second and third because initially the game kind of tells you, like, just through a very clear indication, like there's a guy who says, "Hey, look over there." But the upgrades are hidden behind walls that actually have an alien face imprint on them, so they're not particularly actually hidden at all. You're just looking for a wall with an alien imprint, and you walk into it and get the upgrade. But after the first one that they explained to you, I just kind of ignored it for the next two stages, and then I found the fourth one by accident, realized what I was doing wrong, and collected the rest, and then went back and got the other two that I missed for the achievement. Yeah, I actually did that for once. I seeked achievements. So you basically end up doing that. You'll go for those bonuses on every level. You look for the bonus room on every level. And aside from that, you're just blasting through enemies, dodging traps, swimming sometimes, fighting a boss at the end of the stage, which is usually a giant form of a normal enemy that you fought throughout the game. Sometimes with a different attack or two, of course, as well. It's not just, hey, he's bigger. Sometimes I'll get a new attack or two as well. Until you eventually get to the boss, take his ass out, and win. Now, I didn't test this myself, so I don't know if this is the case or not, but I was officially questioning it. So the game tells you need 200 MacGuffins to develop the cure for your mother's disease. Now, by the time I reached the final boss, I had like 100 and maybe 20, or I basically had a lot. It was a stupid amount, maybe even close to like 140, 150. I don't remember. But when you beat the boss, he drops one that shot me up to 200. I genuinely wonder if I actually had every other MacGuffin and then he gave me enough to top it off, or if it would have been some nonsense like, well, you had 100 and he gives you 100, which means you now have 200. So I don't know, but what I will say is that whether that's the case or not, I was actually okay with finding the MacGuffins because, well, it's a fun platformer, and I like locating and finding the items. Now,
in the end, that's what matters, right? Exactly.
I just had fun getting the stuff. And with that said, though, you can beat the game in maybe like 3 hours or so, maybe 4 if you're slower. But there's also some areas like where you might lose a few lives. Like, for example, you do have a health bar, but certain items will kill you in one hit. Like if you get hit with a laser, instant death. And if you die, you go back to the beginning of the zone area. So like if you're on 1-3 and you die, you're at the beginning of 1-3. It's not as bad as it sounds. Like the areas aren't particularly like lengthy, so you might lose like 3 minutes or so. No big deal. But worth noting though is that, like I mentioned earlier, aside from the dash ability that you get at the end of the first stage, you don't get any other abilities. You'll get upgrades to your gun, which makes it do more power. And I think at one point the bullets are a little bigger, but you don't get new skills or abilities or traits. You just get your stats just get higher, basically. So don't expect to get varying changes of gameplay as you go. It's just this area has a new gimmick in it. This area has a new gimmick in it. And that's fine, again, because as typically happens with me, when I beat a game, that's something to write home about. And I did find myself going, I want to get to the next level. I want to get to the next level. I want to get to the next level. Maybe it's because of the simplicity of it all. I don't know. Because I can't even really say the music is what did it, because even though there are some good tunes in the game, they do a weird thing with the sound sometimes where it kind of garbles the overall music to the point where there were tracks that were otherwise good, but I'd hear them in the game, and when that weird sound effect would kill, I was like, oh god, that sounds terrible. But when the music worked, I liked the music, but it wasn't the draw because the music had that element that would happen sometimes. But I did have fun with my play. I can't stress that enough. Despite anything else I'm saying here about this game, I ultimately did have fun playing it.
Well, then $10 on it. What is your official verdict for Moon Raider?
I'd give it a try. However, right now I think it's on sale for $3, and I think it's 100% fuck it, why not to buy it worthy for $3.
Nice. So if you find it on sale, grab it, and otherwise you say it's still worth it?
I think it's definitely worth a try if it's full price.
Cool beans. All right, well, that is it. Made it through. Did it.
We did it.
Did it.
Now I'm eating Triscuits with cheese before I go to bed. That's my dinner tonight. Triscuits with cheese.
Triscuits and cheese. I'm probably going to make a bowl of SpaghettiOs because I'm an adult.
For the record, those things are fucking delicious.
They are.
You're an adult, so you can cook them yourself.
I can. I'm so proud of myself.